Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have a special guest, Jeremy, and we're going to talk about behavioral marketing today and a lot of things. So Jeremy, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Jeremy LaDuke, the founder of Epic 9 Marketing and also author of Climb, The Risks and Rewards of Elevating Your Brand.
Wow, fantastic. So Jeremy, tell us a little bit more. Why do you decide to become an entrepreneur?
It was out of necessity, really. I left a career that that left me no marketable skills to enter into another career. And so I had developed design and web design skills on the side. And that was really my only marketable skill set. But I didn't have enough of that skill set to get hired on at a larger company. So I said, I think I can do this on my own, and I think I can make money through freelancing. And I jumped out several years ago, probably 13 years ago, and started freelancing. Then, long story short, wound up working for an agency for a little over a year, and decided that I think I can do the business side of this a little bit more, a little better, treat my clients better, produce better things on my own, and started Epic 9 in 2014.
But then it's a big difference, right? When you have a job and then you have your money saved, right? Completely different ball game is to open your business, right? So what made you think that that become an entrepreneur was the best option for you? It actually seems more risky, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners that go out and start their own thing will tell you it's a little bit of just not knowing what you're getting into. You think you have a great idea, and people will pay you for it, and it's a little bit just naivety and a little bit of courage, and you just jump out and do it. I always consider entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs that are looking to build something in a local community. They really are the heroes of our local community. They're putting their blood, sweat, and tears into creating something that hopefully will provide a living and livelihood for other people in that community. And so, it's a little bit of stupidity, a little bit of courage, and
a mix of both, yeah.
Some faith that you have a good service or product.
So, what happened when your family find out that you don't want to work for anybody else, that you want to become to run your own business? They told you that that's a great idea. Some of them, they thought that you were crazy.
So
you didn't tell anybody.
Yeah. So for the most part, I think they had no idea. I was the first one in the family to do something like this. So for the most part, for the most part, my family was probably as ignorant as I was about what all is involved in starting a business. So they were all thumbs up and encouraging, and
that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. They didn't have any clue what you were getting into, what the risk.
No. If they had done it before, they probably would have warned me.
A lot of concerns, yeah. Well, that maybe that was good. Yeah, at least you have some encouragement from from the family. So how they feel now that you're running a business and you have your clients? Are they happy for you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Proud of you, yeah. So okay, let's talk about this, Jeremy. What behavioral marketing? What is this? Can you share with us?
Yeah. So behavioral marketing it's kind of an emerging field that's really starting to pick up a lot of steam. And it's the combination of two things. One, it's behavioral psychology and some behavioral economics mixed with just how does that apply to the marketing world? Really, what we're talking about and what we're trying to understand is why do people buy the things they buy? Why do people, get attached to a certain brand? Why do they buy the thing that's priced, $2.99 and not, $2.89 or, whatever? Why do they buy it more when it's colored red than when it's colored black? So there's a lot of things that just psychologically affect how effective marketing can be, and that's studied and focused on in the world of behavioral marketing. Um, so that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. And so basically, what it means is that the way that that we can visualize the product and the colors that we use, the aspect of it can become more appealing to certain audience that another one in a traditional way. Makes sense?
Yeah. So it's a lot of understanding how kind of the subconscious mind works in our decision-making process. So for instance, whenever we go to the store and we're gonna buy something, maybe it's a new category and we've never really bought this particular thing before.
Mm-hmm.
If we see something that's somewhat familiar to us, we're going to be drawn to that just automatically. It's the familiarity bias. A couple of people a while back, Daniel Kahneman and David Persky wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And it really talks about how our brain functions in two ways, right? So we have a slow way of thinking that gets kicked in whenever we're balancing a checkbook or we're playing a game of chess. That's a slow way. It's very calculated way of thinking. But then we also have a system one way of thinking where that's very short. It's the things that are just kind of wired and programmed into our brain that we aren't even really aware of. And so to kind of demonstrate kind of the difference between these two things, like if I were to ask you 2 + 2, what would you say?
Or
Yes, yeah, you know that. That's a system. It's a system one. It's built in. You've known that since grade school. But if I said, what's 13,000 times 22,439, that's going to take you a little longer.
yeah, no more
That's going
work.
to
I
kick
need a
you
calculator.
into yeah, it's going to kick you into the system two way of thinking. And when we ask when we make people think about our marketing and our branding, it kicks them into system two and it pulls them out of system one. And system one is really that's system one's the easy thing, right? It's the way that our brains have evolved so that we make decisions quickly. And whenever we have to go into system two, we're less likely to get people to buy our thing, right? And it's completely kind of counterintuitive. Like whenever we go into a business, we want to think, man, our product or our service is the best that's out there. And so we want to give people all the reasons, right? That's why you see a lot of like really ineffective websites where someone will say, my business is the best because of, these 5 reasons right here. And it'll explain it out. And there's a lot of words. And that's really not helping people make a decision. They want to go to the website and they want to be almost subconsciously reassured that they can trust you with their money, they're worth your time, and your product's going to be good. If you can do that in the first few seconds, you've got them. But what we try to do sometimes, because it makes sense, right? We think, oh man, it makes sense that I should explain why I'm better, rather than just putting my logo on a billboard, right? And so people throw all these words on a billboard that no one ever really reads. Where if they had just put their logo on the billboard, it's probably going to be 1,000 times more effective than the bullet pointed list that they provided, because it makes it easier for people to become familiar with your brand, and see you. One way that's really effective at kind of pulling people into your brand, it's not easy, but it's effective, is humor, right? So if you can make people laugh, if you can make an impression on them with a funny ad or a funny commercial, you are a lot more likely to be remembered by them whenever they go to that point where they need to buy something. Do you watch the Super Bowl?
No, because I'm here in United Kingdom, but I know that the advertisements are everybody
Yeah.
most expensive one, right?
Yeah. Is there a comparable thing in the UK?
No, but we can say we have the Euro Cup now, and yeah, it would like
Okay.
the similar effect. Everybody's watching this, right?
Well, think about your the last your favorite commercial. What's your favorite commercial that you've ever seen that just kind of made you laugh? You thought was great.
Oh, the Pepsi Cola with the this back in the 80s with the Jane Fonda. This is my favorite commercial.
Okay.
Pepsi, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's throwing it way back there.
Yeah,
Um, how many times did you have to see that commercial before you remembered it?
yeah. Honestly, I didn't see that many times. It was very
Yeah.
impactful. I think 3 to 4 times only.
Yeah. Yeah. So the crazy thing is like if you have boring ads, you're going to spend a lot more money trying to get people to remember them than if you just have
Absolutely.
a very emotionally engaging. It doesn't have to be funny, but funny is kind
Absolutely.
of the one that is hooks people the most.
Most.
But it could be a very serious, like it could be it could pull on your heartstrings really well. But if you can connect with people on an emotional level that doesn't require a lot of explanation, you're more likely to get that business. And so that's really, I guess, in a nutshell, that's part of how behavioral marketing works. Whenever you're thinking about how do you advertise, like rather than making very long, boring ads and copy, you find something that connects with people on a subconscious level. It connects with people on an emotional level. One of the things that I try to avoid doing when we're working with a client is if we create a new logo or if we create an ad campaign concept, I try not to ask them what do they think about it, because the minute I ask them what they think about it, their brain automatically switches into that system two way of thinking, and they start analyzing it, right? But that's not what you do when you see an ad. When you see an ad, you immediately process it. So I try to
Yeah,
ask,
and the owner is not the buyer anyway, so his
yeah,
opinion is irrelevant. He's not
yeah.
buying.
So I'll always ask people how does it make them feel? Like what is this? How do you feel about this? Um, so yeah, that was a long way of answering that question.
Yeah, and in terms of the website, the same thing, right? Right, they have long copies and things like that. If when people land your website, they can have something funny, or they can have something that connect to the client to a deeper level and a clear call to action. That would be more effective than thousand words explaining what you do, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. So it's a lot of science goes into this equation, Jeremy. So where do you learn all this?
The unfortunate thing is behavioral marketing is there's not a whole lot of
Very
universities.
little out there, right?
Yeah, there's not a lot of universities that are teaching it as a program yet. There are a few, but it's not as widespread as just regular behavioral psychology. But I
So
would
where do you
say,
learn everything then?
yeah, books. I think to be a good marketer these days, you've just got to be an avid reader. And there's some core folks that are out that have publications that are out there that have done the foundational work with this. Tversky and Kahneman are probably the very core foundational folks that really develop these understandings of biases and heuristics that we use. But then the Ehrenberg Bass Institute out of I believe they're out of Australia. They're funded by some major corporations that essentially pay them just to study and figure out what marketing actually works, like what things actually um, get people to buy or not. And so they've put out some detailed studies on what types of marketing actually make a difference. And one of their books is How Brands Grow. And it's kind of academic. It's got a lot of charts and figures in it and everything. And so the core of it, though, is they talk about how distinction matters more than differentiation. That's one of their core findings, is that if you are distinct and your brand can stick out a little bit more than your competitors, there's more likelihood that people will buy from you, and that the more share of voice that you have equals more growth. And what I mean by that is, like, if you have 3 billboards and your competitor has 2 billboards, everything else being the same, you're going to grow faster. And so if you can have an excess share of voice, you are guaranteeing yourself that you're going to grow faster. Now, that share of voice doesn't come free. You've either got to pay through it for ads or some sort of publicity. Something has to happen for you to get your name out there. But if you can be distinct and if you can increase your share of voice, your brand is going to grow. And that's about as simple as it can get. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple.
Yeah, I understand 100% because the people sometimes, I ask the question over and over to entrepreneurs, right? And say, okay, why people are willing to pay between $120 $150 for a pair of Nike trainings, where you can buy a pair of trainers for $10 $15. So why people pay 10 times more for something that maybe it's not 10 times better? And some people say, no, it's because of the brand. Yeah, but what is the brand? What is it? What is behind this word? And it's all of that you're sharing with me. I think that Nike owns a piece of, if our brain was a city, I think that Nike owns a house in every single brain of all of us out there, right? And when it comes to running shoes, woo, this house triggered there, and we said Nike. When we said luxury cars, Rolls Royce. When we said mobile phones, you said iPhone. So there are pros that they are positioned themselves at the authority in the marketplace, right? And in order to achieve that, right, they have to use at the deeper level all these concepts that you're sharing with us. Make sense?
Yeah. I love
And the genius of that, right?
yeah. I love the analogy of your brain is a city. And one of the things I say a lot is the real estate in your brain is the most valuable real estate you can buy, right? It's the most expensive, it's the most valuable. And that's when you're thinking about your marketing, what you're trying to do is earn a spot in people's brains,
Exactly.
earn a spot in people's memories. And there's good news and bad news to that. Is the bad news is it's hard to do. It's not an easy task. It's a lot of thought needs to go into it. A lot of skill needs to go into it. The good news is, especially if you're a local business, most of your competitors aren't really doing it that well. So, I mean, you don't have to have the next Apple
Not
brand.
that expensive.
You just got to be better than the
just need the right
competitors.
strategy, right?
Yeah. Do what?
You just need the right strategy. A lot of people think, oh, but I don't have the multi-million pound that this company have to build the authority for myself in the marketplace. And they don't realize it's not that expensive as they think if you use the right strategy, right?
Yeah. It's it's really about getting creative as well, right? So,
Absolutely.
you might have a home service business. If everybody's calling their home service business, Joe's Plumbing and Ace Plumbing and whatever, think of how you can make your brand distinct. Can you use a mascot? Mascots help, as cheesy as it is, mascots help businesses from B2B brands to home service brands to shoes. Mascots help. In the insurance companies understand this, right? That's why you've got
Absolutely.
yeah. I don't know what you have in UK. In America, we've got Geico, the Gecko, and
We have here
Emu.
from
Yeah.
even
So
websites, tech companies use it also as well. because comparison sites here in UK they use mascot also because they can use all in the marketing, and one of them have a meerkat, things compare.com, and they use that in all the advertising, and the truth is they're very memorable, the ads, they are funny, and and the mascot play a big part of it, right? But
Yep. Oh,
so
well, and one that's I think just gone off the chain recently is Duolingo, the owl. That mascot has helped propel that brand into the limelight in a big way in the last year or so.
there you go, right? And so this is yeah when the companies, I think, that put more attention, right, and start to work with this, yes, what they don't realize, because I think it's difficult for entrepreneurs to see the return in building and creating a brand, and like we said before, Jeremy, like to own this real estate piece, right? Because it's not like an advertising. Advertising, you say, okay, you know what, I'm spending £10, $20 in advertising, and I'm selling 50, so I'm making the product costing me 10, so I'm making $20 profit, right? Very easy math. Now building the brand, entrepreneurs have challenged to see the return. They say, oh, we had to pay all this money to develop this logo, to build the brand, to now we have to do this mascot strategy and this marketing behavior for brand awareness, and they don't see clearly the return in the investment without knowing that once you own this piece of the real estate in the brain of the consumer, you can charge 10, 15 times more for your product, because you will be recognized as the authority in the marketplace. If you don't believe me, check how much is a Lamborghini, how much is a Ferrari, how much is a Rolls Royce, how much is an iPhone, and everybody's buying it, right? Nobody, even you see the people that say, listen, don't buy this iPhone for $1,200. I have this phone from China that you can buy for $100. They won't even think about it. They will go there and buy the iPhone and pay 10 times, 12 times more. I said, this is the same machine. It's it's just 90% of the apps are the same. Why are you spending 10 times more? Because once you have these once you build the brand, right? Once you own this space in the mind of the consumer, the people don't have any problem paying 5, 10, 20 times more for the product, because they want to be part of this community. They want to be part of what that brand represents, right? So it is a really profitable exercise when you look into the long term. And
Yeah. It's so the way I like to visualize it is you're familiar with a sales funnel, right? Kind of
absolutely,
brand awareness at the top, conversion at the bottom, right? If you were to kind of look top down on that and see the big circle up here is brand awareness, and in the small circle is conversion. If you look top down and you think about all these people that are on the outside of that smaller circle, so the smaller circle is right there. What we've done in marketing, I'd say for the past 10 or 15 years, is we've focused on this circle right here, this small
absolutely.
circle of people who are ready to buy. And performance marketing has really said, all right, these are the people you need to focus on. You need to focus on them right here. And and it's all about Google ads and sales, click funnels, and landing
Targeted these
pages.
people specifically.
Grab these people right here. The problem with that is for most industries, especially if you're a local business, the amount of people that are in this circle is relatively few. However, this
It's gonna
circle here is
finish very quickly, yeah. It's gonna
yeah,
finish
yeah,
at some point.
yeah,
It's gonna dry up, yeah.
yeah.
So
Well, and as soon as you stop paying to get those, you're out of business, right? But this circle out here is where nobody's fighting for these people, right? So if you can win them when they're in the big circle, and they by the time they get to the small circle, they already say, oh, hey, yeah, I want to go with this business because I'm familiar with them, I know them, I've seen their stuff everywhere. That's who I want to go. So when they go to Google, they're not searching for plumbers near me. They're searching for
For
your
your name,
business by
for your
name, right?
particular, yeah.
And so if you can win them out here, it's less trackable, right? Like you're not gonna by the time they become a customer and you say, hey, how'd you hear about me? They don't know when they first heard about you. They're not going to be able to tell you an exact, they're not a computer, right? They're not going to say, oh, well, you know what? 3 months ago, I heard your ad on the radio. Then I saw a billboard. And no, they're going to say, oh, hey, yeah, my friend, I think, uses you. And so I looked you up. But what they don't see happening in the background of their mind is that the only reason they listen to their friend is because they heard your name all
Somewhere
over.
else.
Yeah. And so if you can win them when they're in this big circle, by the time they get to the little circle and they're ready to buy, it's a lot cheaper, right?
Absolutely.
Even if they're going to Google and they're searching for something generic, if they see your name pop up, they're going to say, "Oh, hey, yeah, I've heard of them," and they're going to click on you. So the need to invest in that, it's hard just from a spreadsheet standpoint and saying, "All right, does this make us money?" Not until you're like a huge brand, I don't think can you really say and point that, hey, we put some ad money here and we got, X amount of revenue over here. But when you're an entrepreneur and your budget's you don't have a huge budget, um, it's very easy to say, I don't know if I can spend $1,000 a month on this brand awareness or $5,000 a month. That seems really hard to do. But if you don't do it, you're just going to be the money that you're pouring into this little circle right here is going to be very inefficient. And so if you
Expensive,
want to,
and it's gonna finish.
yeah,
Because everybody's fighting for this spot, and these companies, Google, the Facebook, the whatever is,
yeah,
they goes with the highest bidder, right? They will show the stuff. So if and it's at the end of the day, when you sell, you don't sell a business, you sell a brand, right? So you can get a lot of more multiples when you're selling a brand rather than selling business, sell a product, right?
yes. And this is the reason why distinction is more important than differentiation, is because differentiation can be copied. Your business model can be copied, right? Like, no matter how good you do something, somebody can do it better.
Absolutely.
That can be copied, but what they
The
can't do
brand.
better is your brand. Yes, what they can't copy is your brand. So that's like if you're going to
And
invest
that's
in
how we
something.
do. That's how we define the value of the product when you exit, and the value of the business when you exit. The people are what they're looking. So this money that people are putting into a brand awareness, the day with the exit is when the big payoff comes, right? Because this is the evaluation of your business. Whoever is buying it, this is what is taken in consideration. How powerful is this brand? Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I agree with you that when you are in the brand awareness space, because nobody's fighting for all these people, it's cheaper, and you also have a space to educate the need, right? Some of the products that we sell, people don't even know that they need them, right? So we have to be going into that space where we are doing the brand awareness and we are kind of educating the need, right? Some products for entrepreneurs that we have, they're very advanced, and entrepreneurs sometimes don't have the knowledge to understand the product, right? And when was last time that you bought something that you didn't understand, right? So first, so if a lot of elements go to brand awareness and, like you said, make it funny, make it memorable, but also you can use it to educate the need, right? Then you have access to this big pot of the brand awareness, which is cheaper, which nobody's fighting for it, and you can actually lead the people to conversion in a more affordable way, and then you don't need to go to that cycle where everybody's paying top dollar to target people, and it becomes ridiculous here, right? Even here in UK, we are in the event industry also. We organize a lot of events all over the world for entrepreneurs. And oh my God, if you do events and you're gonna do ads to attract entrepreneurs to the events, good luck with that one, because it's very expensive, because everybody's targeting the entrepreneur to the events, right? And sometimes when we do the events, a lot of international speakers come to us and tell us, Harry, but how you feel this? I just don't get it. How people are showing up, and where these people coming from? A lot of people spending 200,000 and doesn't do what you guys do. How are you doing this? And part of the answer is exactly what we're talking today, right? We are educated the need in this bigger circle, right? And then when we do the events, the people that show up have nothing to do with everybody else that everybody's targeting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jeremy, so what are the 5 steps, in your opinion, as entrepreneurs, that people should be doing out there to achieve the first million?
So if I could boil it down to 5 things, I'd say you need to start with something that you're good at and you're willing to pour some time into, right? Something that you're not going to get tired of doing and get burnt out on easily.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to be doing a lot of it, and if you get tired of it easily, you're just going to have a bad time. So find something that you're willing to do that you're good at and you love.
Clearly, Jeremy, you're very passionate about what you do. I can tell.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
Step number 2.
And also, I think the other important aspect of that, make sure it's something there's a market for, right? There's lots of things that we want there to be a market for, but there's not really a market for. So make sure there's a market for it. And the second thing is, before you put any money into anything, get somebody to pay you for it. Just do a test run. Ask your friends, family, people in your network, people in your business community, and say, hey, if I did this thing, or if I offered this service, or if I made this product, how much would you pay me for it? And I would say get a first customer before you do anything else. And then I think a key part of that is figuring out who your best customers are. So find something you're willing to do that there's a market for. Do a test run. Make sure someone will pay you for it. Because if you can't find any of your friends or family to pay for it, you're probably not going to get strangers to pay you for it either. So make sure somebody will pay you for it. And then figure out who is going to be your best customer. Who is that target audience? Who are the people you want to attract, and who's going to keep your business running? It took us a while to figure that out. We started off working with kind of small local businesses, and I love them. That's where my heart, my passion is helping them. That's why I wrote the book Climb, is to help those local businesses really get a grasp on their marketing. But as we grew, we came to the realization that we've got to expand who our ideal client is. So we had to change that. I would say if you can figure out, and when you're working through your business model, and as an entrepreneur, if you don't sit down and map out your business model, that's a key part. Get it on paper. It needs to make sense on paper before you try to do it in the real world. But really think through who your best customer is going to be, and then your branding. Once you've got those core elements down, you kind of figure out, is there a market? Will someone pay me for it? Who are the best people to be paying you for it? Figure out how do you shape your branding so that you attract those people. Do you need to be a luxury brand, or are you more of kind of the average Joe brand, right? Like, what does your branding need to be? What's the personality of it need to be? How do you make it distinct? So your branding is the core of your marketing. So figure out your branding, and then just you got to get out there. You got to implement it, and be willing to change. Be willing to adapt and grow with it.
Fantastic, Jeremy. So Jeremy, tell us about your book. Do you have it handy there? When can we find your book and learn a little bit more the people that they're starting the business? What's the name of the book, and where can we find it?
Yeah, so the book's called Climb, and you can find it
I
at
like the title. Amazing.
yeah,
Or
you can find it
direct to the point.
yes, yeah, theclimb.guide. I call it a marketing trail guide for local businesses. But
Brilliant.
the book is called Climb, The Risks and Rewards of Elevating Your Brand. And it does a couple of things. One, I make an argument for looking at when you're starting off, if you're a local business, don't look at yourself as a small business, right? Look at yourself as a brand. The conversation that we've been having today, that's where it starts off, but it actually follows the story of a local business. It follows the story of a woman who has to take over her dad's book and toy shop, right? So if you've got a heart for the small Main Street type of businesses, you're going to love this. But it follows her story as she has to take it over. Her dad has some health issues, and so she steps into his shoes and begins to rebrand and revitalize it. And so you get to see some practical ways that a local business can implement really great marketing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the follow up to that is an online. We've got a community that we're forming called the Climb Club, and it's an online group of local marketing masterminds. So it's where you can find continuously updated resources. We're going to have a weekly Q&A about marketing, as well as mastermind groups to kind of learn from each other, hold each other accountable, and grow as entrepreneurs. And so you can find more about that at theclimbclub.com, and the book you can get it at theclimb.guide.
That's fantastic, Jeremy. I love it, right? And for every one of you that they are listening this Unstoppable podcast, and you want to know more about behavioral marketing, and you want to start to understand deeply, right, what the building a brand is what we can call it the big payoff, right? Remember, you are in business, you're not selling a product, you're building a brand. This is what the real value is, and this is what the real wealth as an entrepreneur will come to you, right? And building the brand never ends. And with the right strategy, right, is something that is not that expensive, if you think, right? And at the end of the day, if you position yourself as the authority in the marketplace, and you can create some elements of behavioral marketing, you can finally own a piece of the real estate of the brain of the consumer. So when people think about the plumbing problem, or any problem they have, boop, your company will show up in your brain, because you already own a property in the brain of the person. And when you go to Google, you don't searching for a plumbing company, they will be searching for your name, because they already heard about you, right? Thank you so much, Jeremy. That has been amazing, very very helpful. I'm so glad that you joined this podcast. And for all of you listening in Apple and Spotify and all our social media, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Jeremy break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.